G'day guys, Luke here. Welcome back to another video. In today's video guys, we are doing the Reptile update for the third quarter for 2025. Today's video we are starting with Monty and Anastasia, my two shingleback skinks. Monty is the one on the right hand side, while Anastasia is the one on the left, who is the female, and Monty is the male of course. Both shinglebacks are doing exceptionally well. For the most part, this time of afternoon, they kind of just sleep underneath the heat and do bugger all. In the morning, they'll often get out from under the hides that we were sleeping in, make their way over to the food bowl, have something to eat, then make their way back over to the warm side and just sleep all day. So all they do is eat, sleep and repeat, living the dream. These two are both housed in a 127 enclosure. In the enclosure, we've got two hides, that's been bedding as a substrate, food bowl and water bowl are backing the LED UVB light bar, and we've got the ceramic heating. Above Monty and Anastasia, we have Akko, who is my female Eastern War Dragon. She is the diva of the reptile room. Now, since the last update, there's been some slight changes to her enclosure. So she used to have a hammock in that back corner. But unfortunately, one afternoon, she kind of got her foot stuck in it, and it was hanging upside down like a bat. So I decided to take it out and put another branch in there for her to perch on. She's starting to get used to that idea now instead of the hammock. But saying that, she never really used the hammock in the past, only rarest occasions. So I don't think she'll be missing that anytime soon. But other than that, she's just been fine. A bit upset with me because I only gave her one superworm today. Even though she knows the rules, I give her one every few days. She wants more. She's housed in a 147 enclosure. So in the enclosure itself, we've got coconut fibre as a substrate. Got our hide. A couple of pieces of wood in here for the perch on. Also a couple of branches. Her food bowl, backing, fake plant. A pond which has a few rocks and bricks around it to keep it up and levelled, which is nice and clean this morning. So give it 5 minutes, she'll probably do poo in that. Then above her, we've got her UVB and her heating. On this top shelf, on this shelving unit, we've got Dusty, who is my black and monitor. He seems to get more confident and more comfortable with me in the room now. Of course, I still can't hold him, but we are slowly making progress, but see what happens in the future. As you can see, he's quite healthy, eating quite well as of late, enjoying the superworms we gave him this morning. He's housed in a 147 enclosure, much like Akko's. However, he's more of a desert setup. So stands up substrate. We've got a couple of hides on the ground for him to choose. A crocodile skull. He's also got a couple hollow logs that he can retreat into. This one over here being his favourite place to go into, or one of his favourite places. Branches so he'll hang out like what he's doing right now. Keep a close eye on me. Feels scared, he'll go in one of his hides. Got his food bowl, his water bowl, fake plants, backing. He's got his heat and his UVB. So normally he's got 3 places he'll like to sit. Where he's right now is his third favourite, I'm guessing. Second favourite will be this hollow log, and then goes up in the top into the lights where he hangs out majority of the time. Making our way across the wall onto this shelving unit here, we've got this 50 enclosure that houses my Sansuma Sui. For the most part, I don't see this girl, but when she does come out, it's on the rarest occasions. However, she's doing just fine. She's still a very thick little Sansuma that she is. But apart from that, she's a very secretive little lizard. So in her enclosure, we just got a sand as substrate, which is about 2 to 3 inches, depending on where she sits in the enclosure. She's got 3 proper hides in here, one over a heat cord that she shares with everybody else here, we'll get to in a moment. Got one over here, we've got a bit of cardboard just sitting here. So if she is in that hide, I can still view her. Got a water bowl, fake plant, third hide in the back there, and her backing to set the enclosure off quite nicely. Half toying with the idea of putting red setting here to set it off quite nicely, but see what happens. But next door to her, we have moved Aurora into a different enclosure as we have a newcomer in the family. So I thought the enclosure she was in previously will work better for this lizard for the time being. She can just go in this 45 instead of enclosure. A bit smaller than what she was into, but she's got a bit more height, so she's happy with that. She's currently hanging out in the back corner, and she's growing at a rapid rate, which is great. Fingers crossed Aurora here is a female, because I will love to breed diamond pythons in the future. But apart from that, her enclosure is just a 45 centimetre with a few hides, a couple of branches for her to perch on, a backing, water bowl, some bedding as a substrate. And being a diamond python, they do require UVB, so she shares it with her neighbour Sui. And she shares a heat cord with a few of the baby central carpet pythons that are hatched out this year. Unfortunately, there's none of them really sitting out nicely to see, but get the idea of what's been happening here. These 5 enclosures up next, I had to grab them off the bottom shelf as it was just easier to do that than trying to get on the floor when there's no space and very awkward to move. So just grab them out so we can see these guys a lot easier. But we'll start with these two 30cm enclosures that houses my two spine-tailed geckos, Charcoal and Luna. Just lift up the hide then so we can get a better look of Charcoal. Now Charcoal is a very secretive little gecko, don't see him too much. Very shy, so I thought best off to leave him alone. But apart from that, he'll come out of the night time, does his thing, and during the day he's a no-show. So in his enclosure, I've got sand substrate, two hides. We've got his branches he can climb on, water bowl, and he shares a heat cord with pretty much everybody else here. Luckily his girlfriend Luna is out and about, so we can get a nice look of her. She's a very easy little gecko. When I get her out, she doesn't mind being handled that much, but she will start getting a little bit freaked out after a little while, and she's quite a quick gecko when she wants to be on the move. But her setup is very similar to Charcoal's, apart from the two, I guess, rock hides. She's got a rock hide and a little termite hide she can go into. But apart from that, the two geckos here are doing well. Moving on to the she-oak segment. So in these 20cm enclosures, we've got three naughty she-oaks. So we've got Jack, who's just going back underneath his bit of bark. Then we've got Barbosa, who's having some food. Is it Barbosa? No, that's Davy. So that's Davy. Then Barbosa is this one. The reason why these three are housed separately from the other she-oaks that we have is because Jack over here was very aggressive to everybody. Then Davy and Barbosa here were pretty much causing fights with each other. So I thought it's better off just having these guys separate so there's no more trouble. Now with these guys set up, they do have a LED UV bar down on their shelf. Substrate says coconut fibre. Half of it is dry, half of it is damp. So of course the heat cord is running along the back of these enclosures like so. Then the front part is all damp, so they can choose to go nice and warm where it's dry, or if they're going through a shed cycle, they can go in amongst the moisture and help shed their skin that way. But as you can see, there's a food bowl, water bowl, and a bit of bark in there from the retreat under. But it's pretty cool how these guys are all siblings, but they've got their own little sets of colours. So yeah, and these three, since they're housed on their own, are growing quite rapidly too. Continuing our little she-oak family, we've got a pair of 60cm enclosures to go through that houses two groups. Now there's 4 she-oak skinks in each enclosure. The one we're looking at now houses my adult group of she-oak skinks named Ghost, Gum, Jara and Taz. Then the one on the left hand side houses the siblings to the other 3 we just went through, Will, Elizabeth, Pearl and Callisto. Now the enclosures are somewhat similar to setup with the 3 others down below. The only difference is there's more hides involved. There's a heat pad instead, but apart from that, same kind of situation with the substrate and lighting. Now, these 4 in here, we don't really have any designated names to, as they look quite similar from each other. However, as they're growing up, I'm slowly starting to realise who is who, but I haven't really designated any names yet. So we've got one little guy sitting here, just sleeping on the heater side. And I have noticed there's a second one just sticking his nose out in the substrate, where he's got his little burrow. Hey buddy. But yeah, these 4 she-oak skinks are going very well. No issues so far. They get along somewhat for the most part. Every now and again there might be some squabbling over food, but hopefully they've worked out the little hierarchy system, so I don't have to worry about these 4 anymore. However, with Gum, Ghost, Jar and Taz, they've had their little hierarchy for a long time. Somebody else had these guys before I did, so they said they had no issues with these 4. And so far, so good. Now, Gum here is a very sweet little she-oak. Now, very food-loving skink. Will eat up, that's why she's nice and chunky. When I do handle Gum here, she might poo on me, so it might scare her. But for the most part, she's fine. Ghost here gives me the hardest time every time. He likes to bite me in self-defense, or he doesn't really like me that much. He's a bit of a character, but we know those in the family. Then Jara and Taz are the very quiet 2 of the she-oak group. Don't see them that often, but these 2 are very slow, very laid back. And sometimes give me a hard time trying to figure out who is who, but thankfully I know who is who, as there's some slight differences between the 2. Well, I hope you guys enjoy your skinks, because we've got a whole heap of them to go through. So we've got another 2 60cm enclosures, but just the taller models this time around. We've got 2 very different skinks housed side by side to each other. The one on the right hand side is named Thumper. He's a Gigi skink. A very cheeky one of that. Loves his food. Loves to cause me a lot of trouble with either moving his fake rock stack or just coming out to get a treat, then bolting back under his hide where he feels safe. So Sans has substrate, food bowl and water bowl. Got a mushroom over here to decorate his house with. The fake rock stack that I just mentioned and a proper hide in the corner there. Got his backing, his heat and UVB. For the most part that is Thumper, nothing too dramatic with him. His neighbour is Pedro. He's also housed in a 60cm enclosure. So aspen bedding to substrate, food bowl, water bowl, 2 hides on the ground. So one on the cool side, another one on the underneath the heat there. Fake plants. We got his stick that he can climb on. His backing that I incorporate a cave into, which he's currently hiding in. Now lately he's been very confident coming out and eating a lot, which is quite odd being winter here in Australia. I thought he'd be sleeping and not doing anything. However, he's a bit more active and giving me a bit of trouble, but that's Pedro for you. We need characters, like I said in the video. We've got some cool ones, we've got some calm ones, we've got some crazy ones, we've got some aggro ones. We've got every single type of personality in the family. The next 3 animals we're going to cover off are my blue tongue skinks. We've got 2 eastern blue tongues and a blotched blue tongue. So Billy down the bottom here, she's housed in a 120cm enclosure. In her enclosure, we've got aspen and snake bedding as a substrate, a hide, a ramp to get her on top of a hide, a rock, food bowl, water bowl, backing, her heat pad, and the LED UVB light bar. She's doing exceptionally well. Still very shy, but she'll come out, have a bit of food late afternoon. But then once she sees me, she'll bolt back in her hide. Now, she's kind of a very successful story when she came to my care at first, all she was is skin and bones and had half a tail missing. Now she's a monstrous blue tongue who probably weighs a good kilo, I reckon. But she's thriving, she's happy, she's healthy, which is the main thing. Above her, we've got Bo, who is my other eastern blue tongue skink. Very laid back. He doesn't seem to give a damn about the world. He just sits there and does nothing for the most part. Unfortunately, early on in the year, his brother passed away unexpectedly. So it's kind of sad. We only got half of the brotherhood left. His enclosure is pretty much identical to Billy's. The only difference is he's got the heat, infrared heating instead of a heat pad, as that's what he's used to from the past, and Billy's used to a heat pad, so we just left him as that. Above them, we've got Blaine, who is the blotched blue tongue. She's coming out more and more often now, but at the moment she's decided to retreat back in her hide. Here she is. She's a very small blue tongue. I think she was the runt of a litter, but apart from that, she's perfectly fine. She just went through a shed cycle not too long ago, so she's, well, looks fresh. She's housed in a 90cm enclosure because she's a bit shy still. She's got 2 hides, food bowl and water bowl, aspen bedding to substrate. We've got her backing, a heat pad on this side of the enclosure to keep them warm, and then above her we've got her LED UVB light bar. On the top shelf on this shelving unit here along my skink wall, we've got a pair of 50cm enclosures that houses 2 Cunningham skinks. Now, Aurora used to be housed in this enclosure here, but since this guy came along, it did that shuffle for that reason. Now, this is only temporary setups, as the idea is eventually to put these 2 outside together, if they get along. So I've just got these 2 houses next to each other to get them used to each other. But all they are is 50cm enclosures. One's got sand as a substrate, one's got the aspen bedding, a hide each, the share heat pad, food bowl, water bowl in each enclosure, then just a little light on top of them. Give them a bit of light. Now, these guys are quite shy, so I don't want to be too bright for them. So for those who have seen the last update would have remembered Toothless. This is Toothless now. Now, Toothless is a very, how can I put it, cheeky little Cunningham, where he will look cute and innocent, but when you pick him up, he will start to try and bite you. But when he does get a hold of you, it's just a very playful, or very gentle nip for the most part. He doesn't bite that hard, but I can't believe how quickly he has grown. He used to be this tiny little baby, and now look at him. Yeah, and he's still growing too. Then we've got Meat Lug. Now, thankfully, these 2 are different in coloration, so when I do house them together, I can at least tell who is who. That's kind of the idea I have with housing animals together. So to make sure I know who is who, this is Meat Lug. Now, Meat Lug is more from the arid, I guess not too deserty. So for those who are familiar to New South Wales, this locale of Cunningham is kind of out Mudgee way, or kind of out west of the Great Dividing Range. Toothless would be more considered of a Blue Mountain or Alpine region Cunningham, hinting the 2 different colours there are. But Meat Lug here, He's bitten me a couple of times, and oh my goodness, I've never felt so much pain in my life from a bite. I'd rather get bitten by a big goanna than this little guy latching onto me. That's how bad it is. Just moving out into the living room where we've got my two Gibson War Dragons, Bruce and Shigo. As you can see, there's a bit of a difference between these two and Akko, who's my Eastern War Dragon. So the guy we're looking at here is Bruce, who is my male, and Shigo's just underneath this log where he's sitting on at the moment. These two are just housed in a 180cm indoor enclosure for now. When it hits spring here in Australia, I'll put these guys outside in the outdoor enclosure. For the time being, I've got them in here just to fatten them up and let Bruce have his face heal up. Now, he had that injury before he came into my care, but I just thought, let it heal up a little bit before he goes outside, just in case he starts hurting himself once more. So in his their enclosure, got a little pond in there for him to go into. That won't last long, I only just cleaned that, so 5 minutes time it'll be dirty. A couple of hides in here for them to retreat into. Just some aspen bedding I had laying around to use as a substrate. They've got the LED UV light bars in here as well with their heating. A couple fake rocks for them to go on to perch on and at least view outside the enclosure to get more height. Food bowl there, they're just demolished. So Bruce, he's not too bad, still working with, I guess, getting him used to being handled and stuff. Still a little bit jumpy, a little bit flighty, but it's quite normal for War Dragons to be like that. Then he's his girlfriend, who's looking a lot more better. She's looking quite chunky. She's a very shy lizard, while Bruce is a very confident boy until you spook him. Hey, buddy. Finally making our way into the snake room to wrap up this video. So we're starting on this shelving unit here. On the top shelf, we've got a pair of brown tree snakes to go through. Now, these two are named Willow and Diablo. These two are housed in 17cm enclosures each. In the enclosures, we've got multiple hides from the hide into. Substrate is aspen bedding, the shade heap pad, and a light strip with pretty much the whole room. There's branches and fake plants as well, a water bowl, and there's a backing in each enclosure incorporates kind of a cave system to give it more of a natural feel for them. And honestly, it's made them very happy having those backings in there. We'll pop into Willow first. She's a very shy, very defensive little brown tree snake, so hopefully she's not too upset with us. Juggle the camera, focus on in. Here she is. Being winter at the moment, she is off food, but saying that, she's still relatively healthy and slowly calming down, which is great. Her partner in crime over here is Diablo, like I mentioned. Now, his name is further from the truth. He's a very friendly brown tree snake. I can trust him with just about anybody who wants to hold him and never have the fear of him biting anyone. I don't know if there's his head just under there, not focusing. When he first came into my care, he's a very defensive young baby, but of course, with handling and bonding, he's tamed down super well. Still got to be careful though. He might try and bite me every now and again, which is only fair. Now, the next shelf down, we've got a pair of 60cm enclosures that houses two antaresias. So one's a one-spotted python and another's a children python. The antaresia just means children python family. So this enclosure here, we have Caesar, who is my male blind-spotted python. Don't know if we'll be able to see his little head today, but he's in his favourite log today. Now, he used to be a very feisty, very bitey snake, but lately he's calmed down and actually he's working with me, which is fantastic. In the past, I gave him a nice house, a girlfriend, and he was just nasty. Put him in here and he's just calmed down a lot. But anyway, we'll go through his enclosure quickly. We've got his bedding, 3 places for him to hide into. This one being his favourite, don't know why, but it works for him. We've got his fake plants, branches, a backing that he shares with his neighbour. And he's got a heap pad on this side, and he's got his water bowl there. Next door to him, we've got Valentino, who's actually the first snake I ever produced. So you'll see his parents later in the video. Valentino has grown pretty quickly for the last few years. Here he is. Takes after his dad, definitely in looks and personality, but he's such a good baby. I did have his sibling Chewbacca, but unfortunately Chewbacca passed away a year or 2 ago. So I've only got one of him now, but his other siblings from his clutch are in with their families, which luckily most of my friends took. So now and again I do get updates of how they do. So his enclosure is pretty much identical to Caesar's, just this bedding, we've got his water bowl, a couple of places to hide, branches, heap pad, light strip that he shares with Caesar, and the backing as well. On the bottom shelf here, we've got Rosie, who is my British Tarmona. Now, he's getting a bit better with his handling, still got a bit more progress to do. Now, he loves his food, so luckily when I do come over, he often does make his way over, see I've got food, and usually that's a good time to grab him. Otherwise, if he realizes I don't have food, he just turns around and darts back and leaves the closest hide there is. His house in 120 cm enclosure. In his enclosure, we've got sand as a substrate, a fake rock stack that he can kind of go into, but he likes to sit on top of it because heat's just right there, keeping him nice and warm. He's a chunky little fellow, isn't he? Got his UVB, got his branches, fake plants, water bowl. That hide over there, I do fill it with some wet sand so he can have a bit of a dig. Somewhere where there's a bit more moisture in there to help him shed his skin, and of course a little bit of humidity in there for him. But apart from that, he's quite happy with his layout. This knucklehead right here is Ray, who is my Rosenberg monitor. Had a good feed this morning, so he's quite content just digesting and watching the world go by. At the moment, he's housed in a 180 cm enclosure. Like Bruce and Shigo, he will be going in the outdoor enclosure hopefully by spring. First it'll be Bruce and Shigo, then his enclosure will be built next. Just for now, because he's in a 180 cm enclosure. In his enclosure, we've got coconut fibre as a substrate. We've got his hide over there. Now there's a couple of rocks there underneath his heat light, or ceramic heating. That way he can get a bit of heat from above and below to keep him quite happy. Got his log there we use, which will go outside as well in his new house when it's built. Got his water bowl, a backing that he's destroyed, his hammock, and he's got his UVB as well. In another 180 cm enclosure, we've got Chris, my black-headed python. Before we get to her enclosure, we've got Jasmine bedding as a substrate. 2 monstrous hides that she can go into, one right underneath her heat, and the other side is where it's a cool section. Got a branch in there that she will use from time to time. Got a water bowl, fake plant, a backing. Now Chrissy's doing fantastic. She's probably pushing almost 8 feet in length, smashing food at this time of year. Some of the mistakes at the moment are eating, some of them aren't, which is quite normal being this time of year here in Australia, being cold. But she's a friendly giant for the most part, until you have food where she becomes a bit more of a nightmare to deal with. On top of Chris's enclosure, we've got a 100 cm enclosure that houses Aaron and Snickers, who are 2 female children pythons. But before we get to those two, we've got Charles, who is my albino Darwin, who's housed in a 90 cm. Now, funny enough, this enclosure that she's in used to be an old computer desk. They decided to give a second chance of life by converting it into a reptile enclosure, and I'm quite happy how it turned out. Before we get to Charles here, we've got her substrate, hides, a vine there to decorate her enclosure, water bowl, hammock, heat, and a light strip that runs through her enclosure, and a backing to set the enclosure off to give it more of a shed vibe. She's coming off food, a little bit moody lately, so I hope she's okay. Hey darling, here she is. Not a big girl, not a very big eater as well, so she's kind of stayed on the smaller side. Won't disturb her too much as she has been a bit cranky the last couple of days, but yeah, she seems to be just fine. Moving across to Aaron and Snickers, who are houses 100 cm enclosure. Let's drop in and see how the two girls are doing. So this girl right here is Snickers. She's a very cool, calm, collected girl. At the moment, she's off her food, but she's still quite healthy, as you can see. She doesn't really like to share a hide with her cage mate Aaron, so hear me out. I am somewhat tempted to put Aaron in with Emma and Azula to see if one, Azula and Aaron get along, and 2, to see what babies that Emma and Aaron could produce, as they look quite similar to each other. Unfortunately, she's hiding her head today, but she's a very friendly snake, still eating at this time of year, which is quite funny. And overall, she's got a lovely personality. Well, they all do, but these two, for some reason, just don't get along. They've got 2 hides here, a fake rock stack they can go into, but I don't really see them two using it that much. A couple of fake plants in the enclosure. We've got their heat. The light strip ends on their enclosure. And of course, we've got the water bowl and substrate in their enclosure as well to give them a nice enclosure to live in. We are now on our last shelving unit for the video, and we started down the bottom, then we'll work our way to the top. Here we have Emma and Azula, who are my breeding pair of children pythons. Their parents to Valentino. Both snakes are doing well at the moment. Both are off food. Don't know if it's because either A is being a bit cooler lately, they're not that interested in food, or B, it is breeding season for these guys right now, so I had to make this pretty quick for these two. Both of these guys are housed in a 80 cm enclosure. We've got that as a substrate. Where they're sitting now is a heat pad underneath the enclosure to keep them nice and warm. 3 hides for them to go into. Of course, this one being heated, happy in that for today. Water bowl, rocks, branches, fake plant, And we've got the backing as with a light on top to display the enclosure nicely. Moving to the next door neighbours of Amazula, we've got Superstar and Graham, and my two oldest reptiles in the family. Superstar being my first ever reptile, and Graham being my second. These two snakes will be 16 years of age at the end of the year. Both of these girls are housed in a 90cm enclosure. In the enclosure, we've got the aspen bed as a substrate, 3 hides, we've got a branch in there, water bowl, a rock, fake plant, backing, heat, and just a display light. Superstar over here, she's actually out for today's video, which is nice. She's a blonde spotted python, very friendly. Having a 15-year commitment with her, we've built quite a bond with her. And as well with Graham here, if she wants to stick her little nose out. Hey, darling. These two girls always come out when I'm either in the enclosure or when I'm near it. So, out of all the reptiles, I feel like these two I've got the strongest bond with. And then probably Acro will be the second or third after these two. So, both of these girls are doing very well. Next shelf above, Superstar and Graham, as well as Amazula. In a 127 enclosure, we've got my two male diamond pythons, Atrum and Aurelia. Before we get to the two boys themselves, in the enclosure, we've got the coconut fibre as a substrate, water bowl, couple of big or 3 big holes in there for them to go into when they want to hide, couple of branches from the perch on, as they're doing right now, backing, heating. Like I said with Aurora, since these guys are diamond pythons, they do require UVB, so we've got 2 little UV light bars in the enclosure. So Atrum here is just staring off into space. A little while ago, he had an infection in his gum, so luckily now it's been taken care of and he's back to full health. Still a bit of a fussy eater, but we'll take that. He's still quite healthy, as you can see how thick he is. Then his cage mate Aurelia. Oh, there's his head. I was wondering where you were hiding your head of yours. Just went through a shed not too long ago, so he's looking quite fresh. Just a shame that his yellows are not really popping out in the video. But side by side, you can see the two differences between Atrum and Aurelia. Aurelia, he's a good feeder, so I never have an issue with him. And he's usually a very good boy. To the top shelf, where we got Chappie and Orchid, who are my two central carpet pythons. Mum and Dad to the babies you would have saw early in the video. They are also housed in a 120cm enclosure. However, in their enclosure, as been bedding a substrate, 2 monstrous hides, as these two do like to cuddle up with each other. They're very loving dovey. A couple of branches from the perch on, like what Chappie's doing right now. Heating, display light, fake plants, water bowl. So while he's out and about, let's say hello to Chappie. Now, all of last year, he did not eat a single food item. But luckily this year, he's been eating more regularly, gaining the weight. So I'm thankful he's now back to not giving me a heart attack, pretty much. And he's gaining weight slowly. It's kind of more the classic look with the dark reds, the creamy yellows, and the black tail look. But if I get his head come over here, hey chap, I don't know if you just saw it then, but he's got blue eyes. Then we go down to his girlfriend, Orchid. Now, I'll never have any issues with Orchid. She always eats her food, apart from when she's pregnant. Very devoted mother. She gives me a hard time when I have to get the eggs off her. Now, she isn't quite the purebredly, but she's not really a hypo either. There's more or less blacks in her. But it's funny enough, she's got more green eyes. Then if you look at Chappie here, hey buddy, he's got more green eyes. And every baby I've had so far has had green eyes like Orchid. So hopefully one day we get some blue-eye babies. That way we've got little chappies. So both snakes are doing very well, and I'm happy to report pretty much everyone so far are happy, healthy, and living the dream. But apart from that, guys, we'll wrap up the video here. Thank you all for watching to the very end. Appreciate you guys a lot, and I'll see you all in the next video.